again. But a lot's going on. So go ahead and get seated. I'm going to go ahead and turn up this volume a little bit so I can hear you guys if you need it. You can be seated on the ground. You can be in a chair. You can be in your bed. You can choose however you are most comfortable. I encourage you, if you are comfortable, depending upon how you're feeling today, that if you are comfortable on the floor or in a different type of seated position, to try to change up from your usual, if you can. Sometimes just sitting on the ground versus the bed or in a chair is just really good. Helps use different muscles, engage different muscles. But I know with autonomic dysfunction that can be really a big challenge. But even just sitting in a different way, still upright, can be really good for us. So I encourage you that if you can sit on the ground, do so, or if you can change up your chair, do so. Or if you're in bed, maybe there's a way that you can prop yourself up a little bit more upright, maybe sit on the edge of the bed. If you are in a chair or at the edge of a bed or something, what I would like you to do is try to make sure you're not sitting all the way back in the chair. So if I'm sitting and the chair's underneath me, try to sit a little bit more forward in the chair so that your knees are more at a 90-degree angle. If you're on the ground, you should take a blanket if you have one, maybe a towel if you have one, and just place it underneath your tailbone. That just helps keep the pelvis a little bit more neutral and a little bit more pelvis a little bit spilled forward versus us kind of tucking and hunching our lower back. You can cross your legs if you are comfortable. If you need to have a leg out or you need to put a prop underneath your legs or your knees, go ahead and do so. With your legs crossed or in front of you, go ahead and close your eyes. Place your hands on your knees or in your lap, just quiet. Just breathing at your own pace, noticing how you are actually breathing is a good start. So many of us don't do that. And just taking a minute to be silent, present. And notice how you are breathing. You notice that your breath is still really shallow, or maybe even more rapid like mine. If it is, or if it's not, I still welcome you to take a deeper breath. It doesn't have to be a super deep breath, but just a little bit more. Inhale through the nose. Feeling that rib cage expand a little bit more, maybe rising, and then exhale through the mouth. Let's do it again. Let's do it slow. Inhale through the nose. Feeling the rib cage expand front, side, and to the back. And then exhale through the mouth. And then just stay quiet, seated, at your own pace. Maybe adjust your seated position if you need to. Rock back and forth. Move around. You are welcome to move in whatever way that you need to. This is your time. Whatever you feel that your body is calling to do so. I think a lot of times we need to give ourselves permission to just move and stretch and move our joints and just see how we're feeling. So notice how you're feeling. And with those deep breaths, notice how you are feeling a little bit maybe more grounded through your tailbones as you're seated on the ground or in a chair, wherever you are. And notice how feeling grounded makes us feel more stable, more secure, more safe. And sometimes in yoga practices or even any kind of meditation or movement practice, a lot of times, and even in podcasts that have to do with counseling, a lot of times they say to quietly set an intention for this moment, whether it's for whatever you're doing right now in this class or maybe for the rest of your day. Whatever it is that you're hoping to get out of it, whether it's just a few minutes of self-care, calm to deal with something later, maybe an easier time going to sleep, whatever it is, just maybe set an intention for the purpose of what you're doing for yourself right now. And this is where Jill Miller, whose podcast episode was recently aired today on the Bendy Bodies podcast. It was so great. I love Jill Miller and I love Dr. Bouzine. And And I love this podcast, and I encourage you all to listen to it, and I'll happy to share a link afterwards. But Jill is so great. She teaches yoga tune-up and a lot of the balls that I've used before. And she's so great about not only talking about intention, but also talking about what your words are saying to yourself when you're being silent. She uses the words, I embody my body a lot. I suggest saying, I feel strong. I feel safe. My body is carrying me versus failing me. It is strong, it's healing. This is enough, what I'm doing today. If this is all you can do and all you have done, like me, like I have, this is enough. Find gratitude for just a few minutes that you're here. I think we all can benefit from trying to retrain maybe the thoughts that we have in our heads to ourselves over and over that we might not notice. So taking a minute while we're breathing to just notice what we're saying and give permission to say something else. And with that, take your hands down to the side. Again, suggest just rocking back and forth, adjusting your seat if you need to. Noticing how your back feels. Maybe take your hands, put them on the fronts of your knees. And I want you just to kind of arch back like a cat. Feel that stretch in the lower back. If you can, you don't have to go as back as me. Let your head hang a little bit if you're comfortable, and then come back through. And then arch back, inhale. And then exhale. And just notice how you're feeling. Go ahead and roll your shoulders back. And then roll them forward. And roll them back. And place them down to the side. And let's take our neck to the right. Just gently stretch to the right. You can walk those left hand fingers out a little bit further if you need a little bit deeper of a stretch, but don't go too far just because you can. Be very gentle and mindful. You can also take your chin and look up a little bit, and then maybe look down a little bit and notice how you feel different in the stretch. And then bring that hand back in, and bring your head up to neutral. Let's do it to the other side. Tilt your head to the left, gently. Walk those right hand fingers out to the side. You can still do this if you're on a chair or on your bed. And hold it there for a second. And then look up. And then look down if you are comfortable with that. And then bring your head to neutral. Bring your right hand back in. And then do a couple more shoulder rolls. Adjust your stance. I'm feeling a lot of need to rock because my legs are tight. And then put your hands down to the side. And let's inhale, arms up. And then exhale down. And then inhale, arms up. And at the top of the inhale, I want you to slowly rotate to the left-hand side, both arms down, slight twist, trying to keep mindful of your alignment, your head, neck, and spine. Kids are laughing. I love TikTok. Inhale back up through center. And then let's exhale down to the right. Gentle, not going too far. Being mindful of your alignment, keeping your head, neck, and spine in all one line. Keeping your eyes open or closed. And inhale back up through the center. And then exhale back down. And let's take this left hand, let's lean a little bit over to the left. Place your palm down so that's planted, like a star, as much as you are comfortable. That tissue and the fascia and the muscles in the bottom of the palm can be quite tight. So just spread as much as you can. That's a good exercise in and of itself. And then place your right hand down at the side. And then just inhale over, bending slightly, not too far, bending at the left elbow. And then come back up to center. Place that right hand down, flat, stretching out that palm. Take that left arm out. Inhale up, bend over slightly. And then exhale down. And then let's roll around our wrists. And then open and close our palms. Roll around the wrists. Open and close the palms. And let's take the right leg out. Actually, let's take the left leg out. So it's going to be kind of in a V. You can keep your right leg in. Your left leg is out. You can still do this if you're in a chair. It'll just be modified. You'll keep your right leg bent, and you're just going to kind of extend your left leg out and be mindful of any hyperextension. So if you need your support, do so. You can also do this on your bed. So with your right leg in, just put our hands down to the side. Inhale, arms up. And then exhale, slightly rotate over that left leg if you can, putting your hands down like bicycle spokes. And just tilting at the pelvis, making sure that you're not pulling from the lower back. Just tilt at the pelvis, so it's a nice pelvic tilt forward. So you're not coming from your back, you're just forward, and you're using your hands to support you so you don't go all the way down. And then just hold it here. Again, keeping your head, neck, and spine in alignment. If you need a little bit more of a stretch that's within your range of motion, just go ahead and flex those feet, flex those toes, see how that feels. Notice how your knee feels. If it's pulling up and you need some support, go ahead and put something underneath there, or just back up a little bit. And then point your foot, and then flex. Point it again, keeping that back straight, and then flex it back up, and then come back up to center. Shake it out, bring that left foot in, right leg extended. Adjust your seat, hands down to the side. Inhale, arms up. And then slowly rotate over towards that right leg. So not as far as maybe you've gone up before, but still be mindful to keep your head, neck, and spine in alignment. And then just using your pelvis and just tilting a little bit forward, using your hands to stop. So just because if you can go down like I can, that doesn't mean we need to. So just hold it here. Sometimes being mindful and learning control within a nice range of motion is really important for our nervous system and for our bodies. And go ahead and flex that foot. First, just flex your toes if you can. And then point. And flex. You roll your foot around and then point. Notice how your calf is feeling. Flex. And then point. And then come back up to center. And then bring those knees in. And I want you to take your feet and let's just roll. Actually, you can just extend your feet if you need to. Just roll out your ankles a little bit. We're going to actually get onto all fours. So let's just roll out our ankles and our feet. Point and flex our feet. This is really good for dysautonomia and POTS. These are heel pumps, and you can do this seated. You can actually do it with your feet up in the air, which is restorative. You can do it standing if you can handle the strength and the load on your feet. But if they're not strong enough and your ankles aren't strong enough, you can just do this in your bed. You can also do it if you are getting out of bed, rolling to the side slowly, putting your feet down, and do a couple of heel pumps before you stand up. Roll out your ankles, and then bring your legs in. And then let's just slowly roll to all fours if you are on the ground. If you are not on the ground, if you're on a chair, what you can do is actually get up from that chair or on the side of the bed, and I want you to take a chair. I'm going to get back down to my fours, but you can actually use the back. This is a low chair. But if I had a chair here, you could actually use the chair, either the seat or the back, whatever you're comfortable with, as kind of a modified all quadruped, okay? So if you're in a chair, you can still do this. You can just put your hands on the seat, or you can put your hands on the back, whatever you're comfortable with. If you're near a wall, you can also do it this way. So I'm going to go back down to all fours. If you have any questions about that, I'll help you afterwards. But let's put our hands about shoulder width apart, knees about hip width apart, hip bone width apart. Be mindful to notice how your ankles are. Make sure they're still vertical. You don't want them collapsing in. So let's be mindful that our heels are still vertical. Our knees are about hip bone width apart. And let's just let our head hang a little bit. If you have this capacity in your neck, just let your head hang. So much tension we hold up in our shoulders and our neck, always like this. So just let it hang a little bit. And I want you to just let your belly hang. And it might feel like you're sticking your butt out, but what I want you to do is just imagine your belly is just letting down to the ground. And let that natural curve of the spine, it might feel quite substantial if you're hypermobile at all, like me. You might feel like your butt is sticking out, but actually just let your belly relax. Let the muscles of your belly relax. So this is, instead of telling you to tuck and hold in, I want you to let it go. And then let your head hang. Just hold this. Taking a deep breath, inhale. And then exhale. Notice if you're hanging in your shoulders, you don't want to do that. You kind of want to hold it up if you can. If you can't, you can always modify, like I said, in the way that you can. The ways that I showed you, you can also do it on the floor with your elbows on maybe a bolster or a pillow. But I'm happy to show you more modifications after that. So just be mindful of how you are hanging in your joints and try to not do so. And then let's just rock back and forth, feeling a little bit of stretch in the toes, feeling stretch in the wrists if you can. And again, if this is too much, you can come down to your elbows. And then if this is still too much, you might feel tight in here like I do. You can take a bolster and you can just have that put here so that when you're rocking back and forth, you're not feeling so much tightness in here. So just meet your body where it is. I'm always happy to help provide modifications if something was uncomfortable. So just rock back and forth, noticing how you're feeling on your wrists. This might be a lot of load on your wrists, so if it's uncomfortable, modify. And then let's take our hands and let's spread them out to the side. So we just have them, the fingers were forward. We're going to place them out to the side. So our fingers are now facing east and west. And we're just going to rock back and forth this way. Just again, moving a different way than we usually do. Noticing how it feels different. Breathing. And then rotate your hands back to center. Fingers back forward. And then just sit back if you can. If your toes are tucked and you can handle this, I want you to just sit back a little bit, not putting your weight fully on your heels, but just notice this little gentle stretch. And just holding it, still having your hands supporting you. Still being mindful of how your neck is, how are your shoulders, making sure they're not up by your ears. Let them relax down. Keeping that neutral pelvis, keeping the spine in alignment so that you're not arching in your lower back. And then I want you to slowly come back to all fours like this, quadruped. And I want you just to slowly stand 1 foot at a time. So left foot and then right, with your hands on the ground or on something, holding on to something, because I know this can be something that causes a lot of us to get dizzy. So I want you to take your time and support yourself however you are comfortable. And I want you to bend your knees. And if this is too much for you, then you can just slowly roll yourself up or come up in whatever way you are comfortable. I'm going to move my blanket out of the way. But for those that can and are okay with a little bit of a head hang, and again, this is not for everybody, so definitely do what's right for your body. You can go ahead and bend your knees, support your stomach on your knees, wrap your elbows one around the other, and then just, if you can handle it, putting your head down. If you can't, then I would just roll back up. But if you can, and you're supported and you're not hyperextended, just rock back and forth, letting release of the lower back. And then put your hands down, supported on the ground or still with your knees bent or onto something. And I just want you to slowly, very slowly, holding onto something, roll your way up to standing. Again, supported. Many of us get dizzy. Take deep breaths to yourself. Give yourself time to adjust, holding on to something. Don't move too quickly. And then come to a standing position. Facing me, still holding on to something if you need to, like I am on the wall. And just give yourself a little bit more of a minute to just notice how you're feeling from seated to standing. Take a deep breath, inhale, and exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the mouth, through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And then put your hands down to the side, and you can keep holding on to something if you feel more comfortable. And again, if you're seated, you're going to be just back up in a seated position. So actually, I'll show you that. So you guys can keep standing. If you're standing next to a chair or holding on to something, I'm going to just show us seated. So I want you to be here, and I want you just to put your hands down to the side. And let's take a deep inhale, arms up, over our head standing, and then exhale down. Let's do it again. Inhale, arms up. Feel that rib cage expand. And then exhale down. And then for those that are standing, you can join me. For those that are seated, you can go ahead and do this seated. I want you just to keep your feet forward, parallel, hip bone width apart, and I just want you to kind of keep a straight posture. Just lift up your toes. Maybe try to lift up the big toe and then little toes, and then maybe try to do all toes. If this keeps you off balance, then maybe hold on to something. Just try to lift up your toes, isolated by themselves, if you're barefoot. If you're not barefoot, I welcome you to watch what we're doing and then maybe try it. Another time where you feel safe and that you have stability and you can hold on to something. You can also do it seated, and again, you can also do it in your bed. And then just lift up, maybe try the big toe, little toe, and then put the toes down. And I'm going to show you this from the side. So one thing you might want to notice also is that you notice if you lift up your toes, you notice that your weight rocks. So if you can, close your eyes and hold on to something safely, or a chair. And I want you to lift up your toes with your eyes closed, again, holding on to something. And even if you're seated, you can do this with your eyes closed. And just notice how your weight shifts and feels differently. Do you notice yourself rocking? This is how we increase proprioception. And then inhale deeply. And then exhale. Open your eyes again. And then with your feet still parallel, we're going to do another exercise to show leg alignment. It's more of just a restorative exercise to just be mindful of our leg and the alignment, especially how we walk. What I want you to do is just stand up straight, how you usually do. Kind of shake everything out. Shake it out, bend your knees. Maybe lift up a couple of heel pumps one at a time. Shake things out, neck rolls if you need to. And then I just want you to take your hands and put them on your hips. Feel those hip bones. And with a straight leg, not hyperextended, but in your own way, I just want you to bend over. So about 20 degrees, and then lift back up. And let's do it again. Just bend over, and then lift back up. Let's do it one more time. Again, if you need to hold it supported, do it again. And then lift back up. And now I'm going to give you a little bit more instructions. So with your hands on your hips, shake it out. And I want you to try to keep a straight leg, not a hyperextended leg, a straight leg. I want you to take your hips and I want you to move your weight back over your heels. So you might have noticed that maybe you were pitching forward a little bit if you had a dangle. It might have been over your toes. Let's move our weight back from our butts over our heels, or try to. And notice how that makes you feel. It makes me feel like I'm going to fall backwards sometimes. So just notice that. So notice when you try to just shift your weight back, what happens to your upper body and your ribs. So let's just shift our weight back. I know I tend to try to bend my knees, so I'm going to try to keep a straight leg. Weight back more over the heels, so it's evenly more distributed over the foot versus just forward. And then I'm going to notice my ribs tend to go like this. And you know what that does? It affects our lower back. So I'm going to try to bring my rib cage down and then sit my weight back a little bit. It's so subtle, but it can be very intuitive in terms of how we're walking and our posture and what the things that might be hurting us. So again, shake it out. Let's do it one more time. We're going to do it with the hip hinge, being mindful. So feet are parallel, lift up your toes. Try to move your butt back. Notice how your rib cage is, and if you can't get them all at once, that's okay. I'm still working on it. And I want you to put your hands on the hips. And now I want you to hip hinge slowly, just at the hip. Slightly. Notice how my legs are not moving, my back is not going into it. And then lift back up. So my weight is back over my heels, hip hinge forward. And then lift back up. And then one more time. Forward. Be mindful of your head, neck, and spine alignment. And then lift back up. What you should have noticed with that is if your weight was back more, you're using your glutes and your hamstrings more when your weight is back over your heels, as we should be doing. So a lot of times when we're forward like this, we don't even realize that we end up using our quads to walk, and we lose our hamstring and our glute strength. So hip hinging, it requires strength in the glutes and the hamstrings, and so even just doing this can be pretty intense. But just learning how to do it and not bringing in your lower back is really important. So then shake that out. And then come back to center, or to seated, or put yourself back, feet forward, hands down side. We're going to make our way down, the last part of class. So inhale, arms up, and go to the side. You're welcome to follow me, or you can just make your way down as you wish. And then exhale, fold forward with that hip hinge if you want, placing your hands at the top of your quads. Being mindful of your head, neck, and alignment. Not going down all the way just because we can. No, this is where the work is. And we want to keep our head above our heart. And then inhale back up. And then hands down to heart center. One last time. We're going to make our way down slowly. Hands on the side. Eyes open or closed. Take a deep breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And then inhale with the arms. Inhale, arms up. And then exhale, fold forward gently, just a hip hinge. And then you can go ahead and bend your knees, bringing that blanket or towel if you need support underneath your knees back to center. And then just slowly making your way down to all fours again, or to your chair, however you work. And just give yourself a minute. You can take your toes, big toes can touch if you're on the ground, knees slightly wider than hip width apart, and just come down to a child's pose. The child's pose can be kind of intense for some people, so you can modify. And then take a deep breath, inhale through the nose. You can modify by putting a pillow or bolster underneath your hamstrings, and then exhale down. Maybe walking those fingertips a little bit farther. Inhale. Exhale down. And then coming back up to all fours. And then making your way to a seated position. If you're still seated in a chair, if you are comfortable getting into a lying position, I would welcome you to do so. So if you are on the ground with me or you're on the bed, go ahead and just make your way slowly, comfortably to a lying supine position. Moving anything you need to out of the way. If you have a pillow or a bolster or anything to help make yourself more comfortable, I welcome you to bring that to help support you. I'm going to move this. And then come down, keeping your knees bent. Watching for your ankle to be a little bit closer to your butt. You guys can see me. So you want to make sure your knee is over your ankle. Sometimes we have them out here, but we really want to have like a 90-degree angle from your knee to your ankle. Making sure your knees are hip-width apart. And then just put your hands down to the side. Palms facing up. Take a deep breath. Inhale. Exhale through the mouth. One more time. Inhale through the nose slowly. Exhale through the mouth. And let's windshield wiper our legs back and forth. Slight spinal twist, not going too far. Notice how your lower back is feeling. If you're seated, you can do this kind of modified in a chair, or maybe find a little kind of V-shaped position that's supported, and just kind of windshield rock your legs back and forth. And then bring those knees into your chest if you can, and you're comfortable. Now again, if this is too much, you can also be supported in an incline position. If it's too much to be laying on the ground. But just bring your legs in. And then extend that left leg out, keeping mindful of your pelvis straight and square. Keep your eyes open or closed, holding in that right leg. And then just with your left hand, I want you to put on the outside of that left knee, or the right knee, and just slightly just kind of bring it over across your body. Not a full body twist. We're not going that far. We're just kind of bringing the leg just a little across the body if you're comfortable. And then bring it back to center. Hold that leg in a little bit, maybe roll around your hip. Extend the leg down. Bring in that left leg. Adjust your stance. Hold it in with that left hand. Put your right hand on the pelvis, hip bone, make sure you're square. And then just hold it in. And then take your right hand, put it on the outside of your left knee. You can extend your left arm if you would like, and then just pull it across the bent knee, across the body, just gently, if that's comfortable for you. Deep inhale, feeling that ribcage expand, and exhale through the mouth. And come back to center. Hold that leg in a little bit more, maybe roll around the hip gently. This is my hip. This push me, so I have to be gentle. So be gentle where it is. Pull it in and extend it out. And then bring those legs in one more time. Knee over the ankle. And I want you to place your arms to your side. So they were down with the palms facing up. I want your palms facing up more in like a football T-shape goal. So it's kind of like this on the ground. So you're being mindful that there's still a 90-90 next to you. So you're not going too far above your shoulders, but you're here, just laying flat on the ground. Your knees are bent. Take a deep inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Let's do it again. On that inhale, I want you to rise up in a bridge if you are comfortable doing so. And then hold it. Keeping those knees parallel, feet parallel. Exhale, down. Lower that bridge. Let's do it one more time. Inhale, bridge up. A little bit of strength. And then exhale back down. Let's do it one more time. Adjusting anything. So inhale, bridge up. Being mindful to not hyperextend in the lower back. Keeping that neck relaxed. And then exhale down. And then take those hands, take those legs, extend them out. Placing anything underneath them that you need to. Placing your hands down to the side. And then just roll out those ankles. Closing your eyes. Winding and flexing the feet. Maybe rolling your feet side to side. Opening and closing your palms. Rolling around your wrists again. Noticing how you're feeling now versus the beginning of the class. Winding and flexing. Try to stretch your toes maybe this way, it's a little bit easier. Palms facing up. Let those feet just flop out naturally to the sides. And if you need to place a blanket over top of your lap, you can, or placing anything underneath your shoulders or your neck for support. Let's just take a minute before our last minute of class seated to just be quiet. Enjoy the silence. Noticing how your breath is now on your own. Maybe not as shallow and as fast as it was at the beginning. Slower. More calm. Feeling your heels root down to the ground. Feeling the back of your sacrum also on the ground. Shoulder blades and part of your back. The crown of your head. And the backs of your hands. Feeling that grounding, safe, secure sensation again. Hopefully maybe be able to hear my music. Ocean waves versus my kids. Ribcage expand on the ground, feeling expand down through the ground to the sides and through the front, noticing how you might feel differently. I can feel my muscles in my back more when I feel this way, so inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Reminding yourself of that intention you set either for your class, the rest of your day, or your week, or maybe your words that you noticed that you were saying to yourself and how you changed it. For me, I was reminding myself that this is enough. And then slowly make your way to the side. And if you're seated, just kind of open your eyes and just hold yourself here if you're laying down, just for a minute. And slowly make your way up to a seated position, like we started class. Or seated back, how you started class if you're in bed or a chair. And you're sitting up on the towel or blanket, that pelvis go forward naturally. Crossing our legs. And I want you to take your, we're going to take our thumb, the right thumb, and I want you to place it on the outside of your right side, the outside of your right nostril. I'm going to take your pinky, I want you to place it on the outside of your left nostril, so not put your finger in the nose, but on the outside. And we're going to take our right thumb, and we're going to close our right nostril. So our pinky is not closing our left thumb. So we have basically one nostril open. Keep your left hand down on your lap. I want you to inhale with your eyes closed through that one nostril. Deep inhale. Ribcage expand. And then before you exhale, I want you to switch and take your pinky and close the left nostril. And then exhale through the nose through the right nostril. Or through the mouth if you need to. Let's try it again. Close the right nostril with your thumb. Inhale through the left nostril. Noticing how we're different with the allergies. And then closing that pinky before you exhale. Closing the left nostril with the pinky and then exhaling through the right. Let's try it one more time. Close the right nostril with the thumb. Inhale through the left. And before you exhale, take your pinky, close your left nostril, and then exhale through the right. I still have to exhale through my mouth, so that's okay. I notice I'm a little more stuffy in my right versus left. So then put your hands down to the side. Keeping your eyes open or closed. That's a type of breathing that actually they teach in yoga and in breathing meditation practices, and there's a lot of benefits to it. We can go into that another time. But we're going to end class, but a certain type of breathing it's called, and it's really good for calming the autonomic nervous system down and some other things. So if you're interested, I'm happy to share. So let's just take the last minute, put our hands down to the side, or on your knees, however you would like. I hope I'm talking loud enough. I'm not used to not having a microphone, so I apologize. Close your eyes. Just breathing at your own pace. And put your hands down to the side. Just take one more deep inhale together. Inhale, arms up. Feel that ribcage expand. And then exhale, hands down to the center, right center. Thank you for joining me today. I hope I was loud enough. Totally forgot that I didn't have my AirPods on, so I hope that the computer caught me, because I don't think this mic catches me. So I'm going to, you guys are actually, I didn't quiet you guys. So those that are on Zoom, I can hear you. And then Jennifer, if there's any comments on Facebook, if anybody was joining us. Otherwise, do you want me to disconnect the Facebook feed, or are there people that have questions or anything?
I don't see any questions coming up on the feed, so I think we can stop it in the group.
Okay. Just give me 1 second. Okay. I'm going to stop the recording here.